Hi gang, how are we? It's Chris here. I hope most of you know me by now. But in terms of this, I want to thank you for your time first and foremost. The structure of today will be around the introduction of Ducere and the group to the group, and then also the people who are involved. Then also what we're going to do then is give you a bit of a understanding about who it is, and then what it is and what's involved, and then we'll give you some time for question time. So I believe, Marie, that everyone's ready to rock and roll. So what we're going to do is before we start is that there is a document that we have internally floating about, which it looks like this. It has earn and study. It doesn't have the logos on the top there, but it has earn and study professional growth whilst working at the winning group. It's an opportunity that we've explored over the past year and a bit. Some of the executives in our team have started an MBA with Ducere, and we're doing it with the College de Paris. We also have some other sort of people in the business doing the BAs as well. So someone's doing a BA with Torrens University at the moment as well. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to the team who's in front of us. We have Matt, who is Mr. Worldwide. Can I call you Mr. Worldwide, Matt?
Whatever you like, absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm dialing in from LA, so great to be here.
And Matt runs Ducere, but I'll let him introduce himself when he starts to do his chat. And then we have Don Small, who is from our end in the Australia part of Ducere, but at the same time, he runs the commercial partnerships there with Ducere. And then we also have Tenseng, who I've had a bit of a relationship with over the years. I used to teach with Tenseng back at Scott's. But at the same time, Tenseng will be our man on the ground, and he will be your support if you've got any questions going forward, with the help of Mina and Monique, who are on this call as well. So apart from that, have I missed anyone? Oh, and there's also Maria, who's running this from LA, and I appreciate your time, guys, because it's a public holiday in the US at the moment. So really appreciate the time. But over to you, Don.
Thanks, Chris. Again, appreciate everyone jumping on the call. We're not going to take a lot of time. We're going to quickly breeze through this as quickly as we can, because we want to understand, what questions you have around the programs, and if there's anything else you want to find out from us after the presentation. So the education pathway program started about 8 months ago, where we started looking at ways in improving the already existing programs within the winning group. And one of the biggest pieces that we found was the opportunity for us to be able to open up undergraduate and postgraduate programs for what you're already doing with your certificate programs and your leadership training programs that are already delivered by the Winning Academy. And then, when we look at the university opportunities, they also come with some very good basic opportunities that you wouldn't get in some of the other university programs that are out there. You got universities like the Torrens University, one of the fastest growing universities in Australia. University of East London, again, another one of the most progressive universities in the UK, a public university. They're one of the most diverse universities, a leader in sustainability. We got Rome Business School, College de Paris, as Chris mentioned before. A majority of your executive teams actually going through a program with College de Paris. And then Kennedy University is one of our newest partners out of the US. So with all these university partners, there are some good opportunities for us to build pathways from your existing programs. And one of the biggest things people ask is, why do a degree program? You're in sales. It's one of those things where, you don't need a degree to progress through ranks sometimes, but having a degree helps. And the numbers prove the point. So, in the Financial Times 2016 MBA rankings, and also the latest new rankings that come out, it's showing consistently that people who are finishing an undergraduate or a postgraduate program has a better opportunity to get a increase in their salary or get a promotion. And then the average salary, if you look at a high school graduate versus a someone who's done a degree program is between 65,000 to 184,000. Obviously, that's a huge gap based on whether you're doing a undergraduate program or a postgraduate program. And then when it comes to management positions, 91% of the MBA graduates have a better opportunity to get a management position. And on top of that, you got all the other good stuff. You get to expand your professional network, the credibility that you get, the opportunity to get better mindset of strategic thinking. And also, it's a really easy way when you're going and asking for a promotion to have that behind you to go through. And now that you're doing it with the support of the Winning Academy, it gives you even more credibility. So there are a few points of why you should be doing one of the programs, but why you should be doing it with Ducere, I'm going to leave it to the man who came up with this whole concept. We're one of the biggest disruptors in education, and Matt is very humble when it comes to introducing himself. So he is an Australian, started this in Melbourne. He runs one of the largest philanthropic foundations in education in Africa as well. And he's built, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest game changers in the education space. So Matt, without further ado, I'm going to let you take over and introduce Ducere and what we do with our programs.
Thanks so much, Don. Appreciate that. And great to be chatting to everyone here today about the opportunities for university degrees. And, you know, we're all here to increase access to world-class education that is going to actually improve workplace skills. But just to give you a little bit of a backstory about why Ducere, and really how we sort of came up with the vision for Ducere. We're not going to read too much of this presentation, and everyone will have access to it after. So just to quickly flag, don't worry if we go a little bit fast and there's a lot of information. Everything will be available to you, and feel free to book a one-on-one consultation at any time. So that's just kind of good to know. But essentially the vision that we have, just going to focus on that middle point on the left. The vision that we have is to create and deliver the world's most industry-applied university degrees. That really goes to the heart of everything we do, designing career-based degrees. And that is actually very, very different to traditional education. So I went to, after high school in Australia, I went to Monash University, top 100 university, then went on to law school and graduated law, and you know, graduated with honors, blah, 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 whatever. I thought, you know, fantastic. I'm a bit of a legend. I'm patting myself on the back. I've got my law degree, graduated pretty well, and I'm going to just go and, you know, kill it in the workforce. But what I realized is the day that I started working is I actually didn't know how to do anything. Not only was I not killing it in the workforce, I would probably describe myself as utterly useless and unable to do anything that was practical and relevant in a workplace context. And so when I spoke to lots of friends and colleagues in different fields, different areas, where they were doing engineering, accounting, marketing, they would all kind of say the same thing. Well, nothing I really learned in a lecture hall or learning out of a textbook actually prepared me for the real world. The degree is just to get that piece of paper that gets you the job, or maybe gets you that promotion because it's on your resume. And what Don was talking about before, the ROI of a degree, generically, just having that piece of paper is going to provide you with a higher earning potential and ability to get better and higher level jobs and promotions. Great. But we think that's really not a great situation if you're just doing it for the sake of getting the piece of paper, but everything you're learning is not really very relevant. So we wanted to create the world's most industry applied degrees that actually advance students' careers. So on the slide that Don was showing before, almost half of our students talk about getting either a promotion or pay rise before they've even graduated. So if we just go forward there, Don, we can just sort of jump into some of the program information. So basically, we're going to tell you a little bit about the MBA structure. So you can see a whole bunch of university logos up the top. Again, this is going to be a fair bit of information. The number one takeaway to think about is to book a one-on-one consultation with us, because the value of all of those logos is that there are different degrees that suit every individual's goals. So there are undergraduate and postgraduate, there are domestic Australian degrees, there's US degrees and European degrees. They're all Bachelors of Business or MBAs, but because they're both domestic and international, there's a fair bit of difference in how they're structured. So at the MBA level, sorry, Don, if you just want to go to the page before that you had on there, MBA structure, the reason it says 6 to 12 subjects is the European MBAs, like the ones that some of your team are already doing with our Paris MBA, are 6 subjects. The Australian MBA is 12 subjects. But when you're doing an Australian MBA, you have full access to fee help. You don't have to pay anything out of pocket. When you're doing a European MBA, it's only 6 subjects and it's a lot less expensive, but you can't get fee help. So I'm just illustrating that there are variations between the international and domestic. And the best case scenario is to have that one-on-one chat about what is important to you. Is it to get the degree on your resume? Is it to get the most and highest level of learning? Is it looking at the most financially attractive option? They're the sorts of things that we would look at, as well as credits. You can get lots of credits for your current experience and training and certificates that you've already done, and use that towards getting credits for your degree. So they're the sorts of things that we would be looking at as to whether an Australian degree or a European degree or an American degree would be the most relevant. Then same principle with a BA structure. The BA structure has 18 core subjects and 6 electives. That's for the Australian. You can see there in the little iPhone example, Torrens University. That's our Torrens University full bachelor's that you can do between 2 years to 4 years. So you can kind of spread it out depending on, workload that you want to do. All of our students from all over the world are working full-time. We have students from Disney, Aston Martin, LinkedIn, United Nations, Qantas, Cirque du Soleil, lots and lots of corporations where staff are doing our programs because it's so practical and relevant, but you can still choose how intense or less intense you want the program to be. So again, if you're doing an Australian bachelor's degree option, you have full fee help available because it is an Australian university program. And there's multiple bachelor degree options as well. You can focus on business and marketing, you can focus on management, you can focus on entrepreneurship, depending on what your core area of interest is. So we can just jump forward there, Don. Okay, so I want to just touch on a couple of key things about why Ducere. Don, your question about, well, why Ducere? And all of the degrees are by us and our university partners. So it's Ducere and Torrens University, or Ducere and the University of East London, or Ducere and Kennedy University in the US, et cetera, et cetera. So why would you choose one of these programs as opposed to any university that's available in Australia? So there's a couple of key reasons that really focus on what I mentioned at the beginning, with the goal of being the most industry relevant career applied degrees. So they're 100% online, there's no exams, they're fully flexible, but there's a couple of key things that make them the most industry relevant. First is this concept of, to be the best, you need to learn from the best. We've built our online degrees, our flexible online degrees, with hundreds of world leaders. And when we say world leaders, we're talking about prime ministers, presidents, Nobel Prize winners, billionaires, entrepreneurs, chief scientists. In Australia alone, we have 5 former prime ministers in our global leaders faculty. You'll learn from prime ministers from Malaysia to Canada, presidents of countries, Nobel Peace Prize winners, industry champions, chairmen of Qantas, founders of USA networks, just the most amazing people in the world that you're actually learning from. So the exact opposite extreme of that stereotype of an academic in university that maybe has never even worked in the real world. These are people who have built billion-dollar companies or led countries and are the most experienced, the most inspiring, the most successful. So number one key is learning from all of these incredible world leaders as part of your degree curriculum. If we go forward, the second critical element is what we call tailored assessments to your company and your career. So these are examples of companies we work with, and I'm not going to read all the projects there. Again, you'll have access to this material, but these are examples of applied projects within their companies. So within Winnings Group, what does that mean? It means that if you're signing up for a bachelor's or an MBA and going to, say, Sydney University or Melbourne University, and we don't knock these universities. We actually have in our global leaders faculty members from Melbourne University, Yale, Harvard, NYU, Oxford. It's a different style of education, and that might be something that some people, feel is a more traditional and better route for them. But if you did a traditional degree, you would be having to write a paper on an oil company, a paper on a train company, whatever it might be. So it's not really very relevant for you if you have to spend your weekend working on an assignment for an oil company on something that they did 20 years ago for Caltex or BP or whatever. Here, you have no exams in any of your classes, in any of the subjects, and all of the assignments are on strategic projects of Winnings Group. That makes it a work integrated MBA. So this is critical because not only does it make it more relevant, more practical, more applied, it also means that it's easier to overcome one of the biggest objections, which is time. Most of our students, they're working full time, they have families. How are they going to fit in a bachelor's degree or an MBA on top of all of that? That's honestly a very tough thing to do if you've got a day job and on the side you're doing a degree. But here, you're working on strategic projects for Winnings Group. Whatever the assignment is, if it's a marketing class, you're looking at a marketing growth strategy for Winnings Group. If it's a technology subject, you're looking at a technology solution that you can implement within your workspace for Winnings Group. So everything is designed to be practical and work integrated and part of your job, as opposed to a completely separate degree. And so again, when you get access to the file, you'll see lots of videos by global leaders and students talking about how practical and relevant it is, but also how achievable it is to get a degree that they thought maybe was out of reach because it's integrated. Part of that is the platform. So the actual technology platform is the fastest growing platform in the world. You can access it on your mobile phone, on an iPad, computer. It's voice audio enabled. So it's really intuitive and really easy to use. But having said that, we actually assume that students don't have any academic background. If you do, great, that's a bonus. Even our MBA students can enter based on their professional management experience. Many of our MBA students never even went to university. So we're assuming zero knowledge as a starting point. So we do a full week orientation and onboarding. We're taking you through how to use the platform, all the study tips, templates, resources, everything you need. It's a very intuitive, easy system to use, but we still really do that full week of hand-holding and onboarding. And then after that, you have full-time access to student support, graduate coaches, academics for anything you need, because the more we assist and the more supportive it is, the greater chance of having a successful outcome. So these are just a bunch of logos that, of course, many of you will recognize, many of the largest companies in the world that we work with, and we can just go forward. And that means you're going to have an alumni of these students from all over the world. And when you're doing these courses, not only are you going to be studying with a cohort from Winnings, you're actually learning and you're going to create a network of students from Johannesburg, New York, Paris, London, all over the world. So a little bit about us. We have been recognized by awards from all over the world, Australia, US Congress, many awards from around the world for being the most innovative and industry connected. Our goal is not to publish academic articles in academic journals. Our goal is to see our students actually getting practical applied career development opportunities. So we've got all the relevant accreditations and memberships and networking organizations from the Clinton Foundation to others that we can talk about more on a one-on-one basis. And if we just click forward from there, then we've got a little bit of information on the specifics. So again, there's a little bit of information here. Bottom line for entry criteria to a BA is there's lots of options for bachelors. Basically, if you have a year 12 or equivalent, you can do our bachelors. Even if you don't have a year 12 equivalent, there are various alternatives in how we can build an entry criteria based on your professional experience. So have a conversation to talk about how you can get in at a bachelor's level. Typically, that's going to be relevant for anyone from around 18 to 25, even up to 28, is typically the demographic for an applied workplace relevant bachelor's. And then if we jump forward, entry criteria for the MBA, normally about 28 plus. I'm just giving you generic kind of demographics of what our students look like. Typically about 28 plus, but can be, you know, as young as 22, depending on their background and experience and whether they have a bachelor's or not. So the entry criteria is pretty simple. If you have a bachelor's degree, you can do our MBA programs. If you haven't got a bachelor's degree, that's fine, as long as you have a minimum of 3 years supervisory, professional, or management experience. So that's the difference between the MBA and the BA. In any of the programs, they're still 100% online, applied project-based learning, no exams, flexible to work around your schedule. The tuition is starting from $10,000. That's a pretty amazing starting point for a degree, given that the average MBA in Australia is just under $60,000, about $58,700. So starting from $10,000 for an entire degree is amazing. That's the lowest price, and they go up to about $40,000 for their fee help-based Australian programs, but there's a pretty significant range there. And the side that you can see on the right is pretty cool. So even though this is a 100% online flexible program, if you do our London degree, you actually go to London and spend time there and graduate on campus, cap and gown, called on stage, cultural tours, etc. If you're doing our Paris program, you graduate in Paris. Our Rome program, you graduate in Rome. If it's our Kennedy University program, you graduate in Miami. And if you're doing our Australian university degree programs, you can actually graduate in campuses all around the country. So we can just jump forward there. And then for the Australian degrees, many of you are probably aware that there is fee help. So it is a loan program that is really simple, and you don't have to pay anything upfront or out of pocket to start your degree program. And we can go forward from there. And then thank you, Don. You just mentioned a little bit about the foundation. We are a social enterprise. One of the things that we are very proud of is that when you're actually doing one of the degrees, not only is this an incredible opportunity for yourself to get a world-class education, have alumni from around the world, learn from all these world leaders, you have this degree on your LinkedIn profile. People go to events and conferences and they're proud because on their business card, you know, it'll say Matt Jacobson MBA, or you have it on your LinkedIn profile, and people are really proud to show the education that they have. So not only is it a benefit to you, but revenue from these degrees supports all of the work of our Registered Philanthropy, a charity that operates across 27 countries in Africa, doing all sorts of philanthropic and education work, from scholarships to degrees, just like what some of you might be doing, all the way to school literacy programs, publishing programs, which is really exciting. And if you just want to jump ahead, and I think, Don, if you want to just kind of take over from there and just next steps, and if anyone's interested and kind of where they go from here. But as I say, you know, there's a lot of options to choose from. There's absolutely no obligation to have a 15-minute chat and just check what you're eligible for, see what programs would suit you best. Doesn't cost anything. There's, of course, no obligation in having that consultation. So I would definitely encourage everyone to just find out, at least on a very quick basis, what's available and what might suit. And we would love to have you as alumni alongside students from Kraft and Heinz and Pinterest and all sorts of other amazing companies around the world. So thank you so much. I'm obviously going to stay on the call. We try to keep these to about a half hour. You know, any questions, we're happy to stick around. And you can ask me or Chris or Don any questions that you may have. And over to you, Don.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I just want to quickly recap. There's a whole bunch of entry pathway options. We've just introduced graduate certificates, where gives you another dimension of entry pathway, which is to an MBA program. If you don't have any of the entry criteria, you don't want to do a bachelor's, you believe you've got enough experience, and you want an alternative pathway into an MBA program, we've now introduced those graduate certificates at a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for a graduate certificate for an Australian program. But if you do want to do an Australian program, we still have graduate certificate opportunities now with Torrens University as well. So there are, we know that you do a whole bunch of leadership training. We know you got certificates that Chris, you know, the Academy is handing out as well. So any pathway that we can map for you, whether it's to one of our bachelor's programs or an MBA program, just reach out to myself. We've got Tenzing based locally as well. So he'll be happy to come in and have a one-on-one consultation on site with you. I'm in Queensland. So if there's anyone in Queensland that wants to have a chat, I'm happy to do it over a coffee. I know I've been to many of your stores. You guys make really good coffee. So as long as you make me a coffee, I'll be happy to come in, sit down and have a chat with you. And yeah, and virtually we're always available. So now I think we'll open the floor for any questions and see if there's anything we want to address. But on that too, we've got a bit of a poll. We know we've got a fair few people who's joined us today, but we actually don't know whether you're interested in a bachelor's program or a master's program. So we put a quick poll on there. If you could answer quickly to say what you're looking at, whether you're studying currently or whether you're looking at studying in the future, that's another big opportunity as well. The scholarships that the Winning Academy has negotiated with the Ducere team allows you to enter into a program and save thousands of dollars. So if you're currently studying a bachelor's program, and if you're spending $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on that program or a master's program, please come and talk to us. The chances are we could save you thousands of dollars on that program in the lifetime of what you're going to pay for it. So that's one of the biggest things that the Winning Academy has been able to achieve for you, which is, you know, get these scholarships without having to jump the hoops you have to jump traditionally for a scholarship. These are pre-approved scholarships, and you're all eligible for it as long as you're either an employee of Winning Group or a family member of an employee of Winning Group. So that's a huge part of this offer. Chris, over to you. And do we have any questions, Maria?
Yeah, just before we go to the questions, Don, I think the main thing is the reason why we see this as an integral part is that we want to provide the pathway for all our team members if they see fit. So we provide everything from our Cert 4s and Cert 3s for all our new starters, but also we provide diplomas and things like that as well. Like I said, it's a conversation you need to have with the Academy. We've got Monique and Minna on the call here as well. It's really part of our people strategy as well for FY25 around making sure that you guys know that there are support there. The other big thing that's a big draw card for us, and the reason why I've done this, is that it's a collaborative effort for me, meaning the fact that you can do this with other team members within the group, within your own team members, but also the opportunity where we're opening this up and we're willing to give the support as well to, you know, the people like your family and friends as well. So I know there's some people here who their spouse wants to do it as well. So more than happy to look at those arrangements for you guys as well. But it's really important for me that I'm a big believer in education should be cheaper than what it is. And hopefully one day we'll get it to a point where it's free. But at the same time, until that point, we've managed to negotiate on your behalf, if you see fit, the opportunity to do this. But also it's an opportunity to then dig deeper into the business that is Winning Group, and we're more than happy to share information there. I found it really insightful for me. I'm currently doing the MBA with Ducere and the College de Paris. And for me, it's just strengthened what I know about the business. So, for those who say, "Oh, I never get communicated about what's happening in the business," this is a perfect way to figure it out. So, I've also had the pleasure of running an MBA program with a bunch of people from the US and from Australia as well, and that's been really insightful to know that they see us as a benchmark for the industry, and then also for people learning and learning about industry-based learning as well. So from us, there are many opportunities, or what we say, that many different ways to skin this. But at the same time, we're more than happy to have that conversation. Monique and Minna are there to field it if you want to run that internally first, and then you can run that with Tenseng or Don. But Tenseng is almost like our customer success manager for our program. But at the same time, any logistics and anything like that, you can speak to us about. So without further ado, I'm not sure if we've opened up the chat to anyone, Don?
Yeah, we've opened the chat. We don't have any questions about. What I'll do is one of the biggest questions we always get asked is, how much time does this take? Actually, before that, we have a quick question. What's the difference between the $10,000 versus the $40,000 MBA course? So, Matt, do you want to take it, or I can quickly answer this one?
Up to you. I'm happy to just give a quick summary, and if you want to add anything. So these are all degrees designed and delivered by us. So whichever program you do, you're going into the same learning platform. You're learning from the same world leaders, same style and methodology, where it's 100% online, no exams, tailored to your degree. So I would say that if you think about the foundations, the core, the way of learning is the same. Then you have some nuances, like you can't get fee help for the Rome program, but you can get it for the Australian program. The level and amount of learning is higher in the Australian program than it is in the European programs. So they're the sorts of reasons when we talk on a one-on-one basis, like what is important to you. Some people want an Australian degree because they live in Australia. Some people actually want an international degree because they're like, I want something that's different and more unique. Some people really want to access fee help. And some people are like, I don't really mind. I'm happy to pay out of pocket, particularly if it's going to be in the long run less cost. And these rates that we're talking about are scholarship rates. So all of our programs, as Chris said, Winnings has negotiated amazing scholarship rates for staff and for their families. So the program learning is less of a difference than things like access to funding and finance, as well as the amount of learning that you might be looking for.
I think the key thing to answer, I think it was Robert's question, and I think I know where you're coming from with this, Robert, is that the reason why the degrees in Australia are 40, 50, 60K and so forth, it's because obviously that's the price rating, but we've also managed to negotiate on behalf of you guys with the universities overseas, because the guys from overseas and universities from overseas, they're looking for Australian candidates and alumni. They're looking for people. So, it's their opportunity to get a piece of the pie, so to speak, for them. But for me, for example, what's important for me for the MBA is the three letters MBA. So that's the reason why I chose an MBA degree that was, I think for us, the starting point was 18,000, but the reason why it was 10,000 for us is because we negotiated that as a group rate. So that's the ability of us to then show you that the fact that we're providing you guys with the opportunity, rather than it being a lesser course than because of the price. Does that make sense? So if that makes sense to you, Robert, please give us a thumbs up. If not, please let me know, and then I'll come and have a conversation with you. There's a few more questions, Don. Do you want to have
I'll quickly, Chris, I'll quickly jump on, and this is going to also answer Minita's question as well, that about the recognition of the programs. These are not $10,000 programs, right? So it's $10,000 with this crazy scholarship that is available, and there are only a certain amount of scholarships at 10,000. These are $20,000, still $40,000 programs with much higher scholarships. So the scholarship that we've awarded for you through Torrens is a 30% scholarship. Some of the overseas scholarships are all the way up to 50, 60%. So that's why you're getting the higher scholarships. We got women in leadership scholarships. We've got a lot of different types of scholarships that we've been able to tap into in collaboration with these universities to afford these lower prices. So they're not really $10,000 scholarships. The programs, as Matt said, it's exactly the same. You know, we're all going through these programs. However, the European programs are a little bit less. Under their framework, you only have to do 6 subjects, whereas the Australian framework requires for you to do 12 subjects. So with that, there are costs involved in it, and that's why there is a inherent cost increase for the Australian programs. It doesn't mean the European programs are any less of quality. So this is going to answer Minita's question about the recognition of the program. So the World Education System has a standardized points delivery for each of the MBA programs or degree programs that are available. If you look at our programs, and we'll make this available to you, the credit points for each of the programs are actually higher than most university MBA programs in Australia. So these are highly recognized. So if you look at University of East London, a public university, it's in the 5%, top 5% of universities in the world. And that MBA program is about 180 ECTS points. So the transferability of those points is very easy to do. Again, at this level of the, you know, we are partnering with universities to create that accessibility and the affordability. So these are not Ivy League universities. We know that there's always going to be 1 or 2% who wants to go to Ivy League university, but these are universities that give you the opportunity to educate, get that MBA or the bachelor's on your resume, or
And
give
just
you
to
that
add,
opportunity.
yeah, and just to add to that, so because that's a really good point and a really good question. So these are all MBAs. These are all accredited, registered, licensed MBAs by all the appropriate government authorities. So that's a given for all of the degrees. So in terms of being recognised, but there's still a difference. So University of East London, to Don's point, is going to be more prestigious, say, than the Rome program. But that's why, as an organisation, as an education institution, we offer that range. Because some people say, I just want to get the MBA. I just want to, I'm not really that fussed about how prestigious the institution is. Rome is a less expensive, less prestigious brand of an institution. You're still doing our degree, but it's a less prestigious brand. University of East London is a public British university from the 1800s. So it's incredibly well recognized, well respected, but you're going to pay more for it. Now, you're still paying way less with the scholarship. I think, Don, it's about 22,000 Australian dollars. And the average Australian degree, I'm talking about the most expensive Australian degree, the average Australian MBA is 60. So for a public British, university from the 1800s, it's still an incredible scholarship opportunity. Your degree, just to be clear, when it says are these recognized like other MBAs, the actual piece of paper comes from the universities. We design and deliver the degree, but you will graduate on campus at Torrens University and get a Torrens piece of paper. Or you'll graduate in Paris and get a Paris MBA, or in East London and get an East London degree. So you are getting the full university qualification. There's no kind of tiers of a degree or anything like that. You're either getting a university degree or you're not. And this is a full university degree program. The last point there, just while we're talking about pricing, the question says, what's the eligibility criteria? There's no academic criteria. It's purely a negotiated partnership with Winnings Group. So your criteria is, are you part of Winnings Group? Either you or your family member. That's basically it. You don't have to show some type of thing on your resume, or that you've been there for a certain number of years, or you've had a certain grade point average in your prior studies. It's not an academic merit scholarship, which you'll often see. It's purely based on an enterprise partnership agreement that is your agreement with your employer at Winnings Group.
And you're welcome on my behalf.
And that's one of the biggest things,
amazing.
right? Like, to get a scholarship, we know how hard it is with some of the universities. So that's one of the biggest hurdles that the Winning Academy has been able to remove for you to be able to get access to these things. And as Matt said, it's a real university experience, right? Even though you're doing it online, you're still collaborating with a whole bunch of student cohort. Like you got the same problems and the same benefits that you have in a university. You still have lectures, you still have lecturers, you still have exams. And to answer your question, Daniel, there are set dates. So it's like any university program. You have start dates, so you have study periods. So it's exactly the same experience that you would get, but with a lot of flexibility and a lot of opportunity for you to actually work full time and still do a program.
To that point as well, Don, I think Daniel's asking about the start date, meaning, well, I started in February and March, Don. Daniel, but the idea is some people can start in July, some people can start in August. So it depends on what the subject is and depends on when you start. But the idea is that you don't have to start at February like all other universities. So you don't have to wait a whole year to start. You just pick up a subject that everyone else is doing, but then that's your start point. And then what happens is then you just continue on until it's the end of your course, and then other people just roll on.
Chris, I just want to clarify, you still have we still have an intake. So there's 4 intakes for some of our universities.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Bachelor, yeah. So bachelor's programs have a rolling.
Yeah. So for example, most universities only have 1 intake.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
yes.
we have
per year. Whereas this one is we've got 4 intakes per year.
Yes, so that's for every program. So there's always something coming up, but there are specific dates. So if someone says, oh, I love the idea of the Kennedy University Global MBA, you don't just start that whenever you want. That will actually start next month on a specific date. It's October 21. But that's a good thing, because what it means is like a whole bunch of people from around the world are starting on the same day, and you have a cohort of students that you're going through the program with. You're not just doing it on your own whenever you feel like it. You're actually in a cohort with a start date. Now, you might say, actually, I want to do the Torrens University MBA. That's going to start on a specific day at the end of September. So every program has upcoming intakes all the time, but there will be a specific date, and that means you're in a cohort with an amazing group of students that you'll be connected with, building relationships with. And it's so exciting when you see the students on campus, because yes, they've been in meetings like this on Zoom and interacting and discussion forums and working together for a fair while. And then they come together and graduate, and meeting the team, staff members, academics, the students they've been going through the program with. So you're really going through as a cohort together, which makes it a great experience. But there are intakes happening all the time. So the basic answer to the question is, if someone's like, oh my God, I really want to start this, how quickly can I start? No problem. If someone's like, this sounds kind of good, but it's not the right time for me, maybe sort of early 2025, no problem as well. So again, that comes down to everyone's personal circumstances and really what it is that they're looking for.
And reach out to us. And that's why we're here for. You don't have to make that decision on your own. You got a whole bunch of people here that can assist you with that.
All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it in terms of questions. Thanks very much.
There's one thing no one's asked, but I know it's on everyone, because that's what we get asked by most people, which is how much time they have to invest in the programs. And again, Matt, you can talk about some of the examples you've got with people managing work-life balance. But I've just finished my MBA, and Chris, you're doing it yourself. We can connect you with any of our alumni or current students to see how they're managing it. But as far as what we tell people, it's anywhere between 10 to 20 hours based on the subject, based on your knowledge of the subject itself. It's not 35 hours like a traditional MBA program, and that's mainly because you're actually applying. It's a applied program. You're actually applying what you're learning directly with what you're doing at work. So you're not studying for 35 hours and then having to wear a different hat and have to go to work tomorrow. This is an integrated program where what you're doing at work is most probably always going to be related to what you're studying.
Yeah. And then you've everyone in this call has got the layered support of the Winning Academy as well. So that's been really crucial to a lot of the guys who are doing it now, meaning they get the support from us to then go and check in on them, make the connections, and how do we navigate this together. So that's a really crucial part from us, and hope everyone's enjoyed this. And Tenzing, thank you very much for your time and the team. Matt, look, nice to meet you finally in virtual person. But at the same time, look, guys, I really appreciate the call, and yeah, look forward to any conversations that I had. So if you, here we go. What's that? Is the application directly through Ducere website or through the Academy? Guys, we'll, to answer your question there, Miguel, there is an application form on the Ducere website, which we can send to you, but then we can help you with the application process.
We do have the winnings. We have actually a special one for winnings, so you don't have to go through the Ducere one. So that should be on the, so we'll, if it's not there, yeah. When we share this link to this video, we'll share the application as well.
Yeah. But I think, Miguel, make sure you have that conversation with us first, so that then we can walk through this with you at the same time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris. And thanks everyone who's participated, and everyone at Winnings Group who's put this together. I can tell you, we talk to companies around the world all day, every day, and it's non-standard for companies to provide this level of support to employees. Sometimes it's non-existent and sometimes it's fairly minimal, but this is at the real pinnacle of a company saying we care about our employees and we really want to get behind their development. So thank you guys. It's really amazing to be working with you, and we appreciate it. And we look forward to helping as many students as we can and on the journey to getting a degree. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.